Hey guys, Deplorable Deb. Yeah, I'm back on to read the rest of the president's tweets. My iPad, because of yesterday and everything, so I had to go and clear out some more stuff. So let me continue with this part, because I'll tell you, he's on a roll. 1 hour ago, the president tweeted, he said, "Big tech and the fake news media have partnered to suppress. Freedom of the press is gone. A thing of the past. That's why they refuse to report the real facts and figures of the 2020 election or even where's Hunter."
Hi, I'm Fox.
Watch this.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities, the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about some treating irresponsible, one-sided news stories
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false news
has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
I call it Stepford News. Did you see that? They've all been taken over like the Body Snatchers. Remember that movie? That is the Body Snatcher. This is hysterical. And the president is right on top of it. They are, and you can include Fox now with that one. Yep. So I want to see how Hannity and Laura Ingraham like to come out and show us what CNN and MSNBC is doing. Yeah, I like to see that, but I don't know because I don't watch it anymore. I'll tell you now. So how they're going to handle that. So the president also tweeted this. Watch this.
You watch those nature documentaries on the cable?
Yeah.
You see the one about lions?
Yeah.
Get this lion. He's the king of the jungle. Huge mane out there. He's laying down under a tree in the middle of Africa. He's so big. He's so hot. He doesn't want to move. Now, the little lion cubs, they start messing with him. Biting his tail, biting his ears. He doesn't do anything. The lioness, she starts messing with him. Coming over, making trouble. Still, nothing. Now, the other animals, they notice this. And they start to move in. The jackals, hyenas, they're barking at him, laughing at him. They nip his toes and eat the food that's in his domain. They do this, and they get closer and closer and bolder, till one day, that lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody, runs like the wind, eats everything in his path. Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is. It's too late to be scared. kick his ass.
Every day I'm hustling, 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 every day.
Why, that sounds like Chaz Palmiotti, you know, who did the Bronx Tale. So the president says, so much truth, so much truth. Then the president retweets this one from Dan Scavino as he always does. Watch this.
We'll be screaming now, we can be heroes everywhere we go. We can have all that we ever wanted. Swing like Ali, rocking our bodies, standing on top like a chimney dog.
And the president says, all newly rebuilt military. And then the president retweets Dan Scavino again. Watch this.
The Democratic Party, I've been a Democrat for years before my transition, before my awakening into the Republican Party. It's all lies. They're lying to themselves. They don't even know who they are.
The Democrat Party, they're devilish, they're crazy, they're sick people, and they need help. And all I can do is pray for them. That's it. I don't spread hate, I spread love.
They're so hateful. They're just so blinded by their hate, and they're so upsetting to me.
I mean, come on. People are realizing, because when you go to these Democratic cities, they're trash, right? And then what do people do? They move to red cities and try to make them trash. Sooner or later, people are going to realize what's going on.
He reached out to my community so much, and because of fake media, they try to alienate him like he's this racist, he's this, he's this, that, when that city is dominated by blacks, the legislation and everything. So now it's just like, how you gonna blame my president? He's the president of the United States, and that man reached out more than any other. He damn sure outshone Barack. Barack ain't give a damn about my community.
Just feel like the media is out to get this guy, and so he's told us the truth. We've seen what his plans are for the future, and so I'm 100% behind Donald Trump.
I would tell the Democratic Party, start with God, all right? Start with God first. Get into your word, find yourself, love yourself, and then you'll be able to reach out to all of humanity. Because at this point, you're nothing except being divisive, being negative, and you're literally doing nothing but bringing more harm to our country.
President Donald Trump made promises, and he kept those promises.
Amen. And the best is yet to come. 1 hour ago, yesterday, the president tweeted an hour ago. He said, yesterday's news conference being broadcast in full now on Newsmax. Enjoy. 2 hours ago, the president tweeted, he retweets Newsmax. Newsmax, 17 hours, said Trump supporters in Georgia consider boycotting election. Yep. Trump supporters in Georgia consider boycotting election. This was from 11/26/20. So, yep. Yep. So let me see what it's saying. Okay, this was yesterday. Supporters of President Donald Trump host a Stop the Steal protest outside of the Georgia State Capitol building on November 21st, 2020 in Atlanta, Georgia. See, people are reacting out, okay? They're smart. We're seeing it all coming around. See, they really thought that they were going to do their thing and this was just going to go away and President Trump was just going to say, okay, let me concede. You can't, because we all know, and we all know that Joe Biden did not get 80 million votes. You know that. We know it. Everybody knows it. Even Barack Obama knows it. And you know how I feel? It would be best if the Democratic Party came out and realized what's going on. Because in the end, they're all going to go down. So the president said, no, the 2020 election was a total scam. We won by a lot and will hopefully turn over the fraudulent result. But we must get out and help David and Kelly, two great people. Otherwise, we are playing right into the hands of some very sick people. I will be in Georgia on Saturday, he said. Now, listen to this. He tweeted this 2 hours ago, which I happened to catch this.
Number one, bumbling Joe Biden. Maybe you can figure out what he was trying to say in his Thanksgiving message. Listen.
We can proclaim the palmist, with the palmist who wrote these following words.
He means Psalm.
He says, what in the world? He's supposed to be Catholic. It's Psalm, Vice President.
Yep, Psalm.
Our second biggest turkey is New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Last month, Fredo's brother threatened to close all the state's churches and synagogues if they didn't follow his China virus restrictions. But as we know, the Supreme Court shut down King Cuomo's attack on religious liberty last night. Staying at the high court now for our third biggest turkey. I'm very sorry to say this. Chief Justice John Roberts sided with liberals on the high court in that decision. John Roberts, what are you thinking? You're no longer reliable on that court. And that brings us to Michigan, where we find our fourth and probably the craziest turkey of the week, Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Whitmer also imposed draconian lockdown measures. She shut down small businesses and schools.
They're going to
and
impeach
even
her.
cut off elective surgery. But abortion apparently is okay.
Yeah.
Here's what Whitmer said at the pandemic's peak.
Despite leaders across our country urging our Congress and White House to work together, we still don't have a bipartisan relief package from the federal government. The president has spent more energy spreading untruths about the election outcome than he has listening to health experts and protecting American people.
They're not untruths,
It's really
bitch.
crucial that we come together. It's crucial that this relief bill gets passed because it includes aids to the
It's
states
crucial that
and
they
locals
impeach you.
to help.
Get her off. Get her off. Get her off. She makes me sicker than after a two-button meal. I can't listen to her anymore. And finally, we find our last turkey in crazy California, Socialist Governor Gavin Newsom. Newsom's the guy who said you can't have family over for the holidays and you have to stay outside with a mask on and bring on your own food and on and on. One LA homeowner is fed up. Here is their message for Governor Grinch this holiday season. It says, Newsom, well, you can read it there, sucks. Here's what I'm thankful for this holiday season. As we got 15 seconds left, my fiance Amy and Wyatt and my family and your family, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
She comes into the studio with me on Thanksgiving. How great is that? See you tomorrow night, everyone. I'm Grant Stinchfield. Thanks for watching.
So the president tweeted that. And then the president also retweeted One American News. Data group exposes widespread mail-in ballot fraud. I'm pretty sure this is the... Yeah, this should be the article. Data group exposes widespread mail-in fraud. I'm believing... I'm sure this is the...
Group of data analysts are speaking out about irregularities recorded with mail-in voting. Here's One America's Chanel Rion.
Voter fraud has been dismissed by the left as a mythical fantasy, an impossibility that, even if it occurred, takes place by such minuscule margins that it doesn't matter in a general election. Peter Holler, a Pennsylvania attorney and lobbyist, tells One American News he's building bridges between former Trump campaign data analyst Matt Braynard and statistical analysts. What they found was stunning in scale.
We've actually found striking anomalies in the mail ballot data, as you can imagine, and particularly in the swing states. One of the most interesting things I could say is that the president foresaw this with great clarity when he warned people. He said, if you're going to mail in a ballot, you should check your vote. The reality is he was warning people that your mail ballot might not get there. We now have data, statistically significant samples across the swing states, all of them except Nevada. And in every one of those states, we've got an extraordinary number of people who literally their mail ballot got lost. And you may wonder, we certainly didn't poll or sample, the entire population of mail ballots that have not been returned. But when you get a significant enough sample, 1,500 people or so, and then you ask them, did you mail your ballot back? And 500 of those people say they did, but they're still showing as not having returned it. Well, if 1/3 of the pool has mailed back the ballot and it's showing as not returned, when you then analyze the size of the pool, you say, well, hey, there's 150,000 unreturned ballots, and you're saying 1/3 of them didn't actually get mailed back. Well, that is actually evidence of widespread fraud in that state.
The statistical analysis under the direction of Matt Braynard is being backed up by phone call verification, according to Holler, across Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Michigan.
And so here I'm acting as a bridge. I'm finding the experts. I'm spotting in Matt's data opportunities to analyze deeper. I mean, frankly, the anomalies are so striking, or the idea that 1/3 of unreturned ballots are actually people who returned their ballots. They just never got counted. Those numbers are so big that I immediately said these are going to be statistically significant. Let me go find a professor who can actually complete this.
Holler has recruited statisticians and mathematicians to further break down the likelihoods of these numbers happening so consistently across the swing states. The preliminary conclusions they have submitted thus far conclusively point to widespread irregularities, enough to alter the fate of an entire election. More concerning, says Holler, is the widespread instances of mail-in ballots being sent to voters who never ordered them in the first place. These voters show up to their polling stations and were turned away because they were told they had already voted. Holler says the data being compiled now, combined with affidavits, prove that widespread voter irregularities is not a myth. It is real and can be backed up by statistical evidence in a court of law. The question is, will any lawmakers or judges have the spine to listen? Chanel Vian, One American News, the White House.
Want to see more videos like this?
Yeah.
Visit OANN.com for immediate.
Okay. So I got that. Let me show you this. Okay. The president retweets One American News. Attorney DeGenova says fraud, deception in Pennsylvania election is truly staggering. Watch this.
Well, in an exclusive interview, attorney Joe DeGenova, a member of the president's legal team examining election irregularities, says the amount of election fraud and deception in Pennsylvania is truly staggering. One America's John Hines has more.
Sir, I know that you are on the president's legal team looking into some of these irregularities surrounding the election. What are your goals or your objectives? How do you measure success in this endeavor, sir?
Well, we have to get to the Supreme Court, or we have to get state legislatures to declare the results in their states unacceptable, illegal, violations of the United States Constitution as well as state law, and we're doing that on all fronts. There are going to be hearings today in Pennsylvania at Gettysburg where Mr. Giuliani will be presenting a number of witnesses and affidavits to the Pennsylvania legislature. There will be hearings in Arizona, and there will be hearings in Wisconsin next week. So the bottom line is this. We are fighting on all fronts in the courts and in the state legislatures, taking the remedies that we believe the president is entitled to under the United States Constitution.
As these certification deadlines come up and these vote tallies get certified, does that alter the arc of what you're attempting to accomplish, sir?
Well, it certainly makes it more difficult. However, since we are alleging constitutional violations of equal protection and due process, as well as violations of the Constitution, where the Secretary of State in Pennsylvania and the governor ordered things to be done that were in violation of state law, and thus they violated the U.S. Constitution, which reposes authority on federal elections only in the legislature, not in the governor, not in the attorney general, not in the secretary of state, in the legislature. That's why today Mr. Giuliani and all of our witnesses are testifying before the legislature. So the certification is a fact, but it can be set aside on constitutional violations, and that's why we're in court, and that's why we're in the legislature today. So in Pennsylvania, we have both on display today, litigation in federal court and hearings in the legislature to try and get the legislature to act on its own, not to accept the electors that are going to be certified.
And the basis for that would be in the legislature, working with the legislature. The argument there would be what, sir?
We are presenting to them today all of the constitutional violations. For example, in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, our Republican observers were systematically excluded from observing the counting of the mail-in, mail-out, and absentee ballots. They weren't allowed to look at the envelopes, the date stamps, the signatures. So since they could not see and were not allowed it, and indeed were prohibited from entering the space, which they are allowed to do under Pennsylvania law, we claim that is a violation of equal protection and due process because the rules were different in various counties. They weren't all the same. Under the Constitution, the rules have to be the same in every jurisdiction. That's what Bush v. Gore is all about. You can't count ballots one way in Dade County, and you can't count them another way in Pinellas County. So we're arguing that today in front of the legislature, and we're basically the same arguments we're making in federal court. We'll have witnesses today in Pennsylvania who will say that signatures were substituted, names of voters were substituted, people who were dead were substituted. They took the names off the registries of people who had not voted, so that when those people went in to vote, they were told, oh, you can't vote, you've already voted. So the amount of fraud and deception that went on in Pennsylvania is truly staggering.
And you guys will be presenting some proof of that in due course, apparently.
That is correct. There will be live witnesses today, along with, I think we're going to have at least 10 witnesses who will be representing about 400 or 500 affiants.
Joe diGenova, you've been very generous talking to us on One American News, and I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving, you and your law partner and wife, Vic.
Okay, so you've all heard that, right? And then the president retweeted Newsmax again, and it says, let me show you this. Watch this.
Number one, bumbling Joe Biden. Maybe you can figure out what he was trying to say in his Thanksgiving message. Listen.
We can proclaim the palmist, with the palmist who wrote.
Well, he's just
words.
he's just retweeting this again. Yeah, because this is what I showed you before. And then the president retweets Newsmax, and they said they got caught. President Trump fires off on the perpetrators of fraud and applauds Rudy Giuliani for his efforts.
And they've just stepped on the gas, and they got caught. Just like they got caught spying on my campaign, they got caught doing this. So I really appreciate it, and the country appreciates it, and we have to turn the election over. Because there's no doubt, we have all the evidence, we have all the affidavits, we have everything. All we need is to have some judge listen to it properly without having a political opinion or having another kind of a problem, because we have everything. And by the way, the evidence is pouring in now as we speak. And I want to thank Rudy Giuliani for having the courage to do this. Because there are other lawyers that backed down because they were being screamed at. Rudy is the greatest mayor in the history of New York, and there's a reason. He's got great courage, and he doesn't care. He wants to do what's right. And I told him the other day, Rudy, you were the greatest mayor in the history of New York, and you see what happened to New York without Rudy. You were the greatest mayor, but this is more important. What you're doing now is far more important than being a great mayor of the city of New York and being its greatest mayor by far. By the way, by far. This is going to be your crowning achievement because you're saving our country. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Okay, and then the president retweeted Rick Grinnell. Rick Grinnell says the case against Michael Flynn was completely overblown. Then 14 hours ago, the president retweeted himself. A must read. Impossible for Biden to have overcome these and even greater odds. This is coming from the Federalist. Says 5 more ways Joe Biden magically outperformed election norms. So there's a whole article here. And that's when the president said, a must read, impossible for Biden to have overcome these and even greater odds. Then the president retweeted himself one day ago. Just saw the whole vote tabulation. There is no way Biden got 80 million votes. This was 100% rigged election. 3 hours ago, the president tweeted. He said, wow, Twitter bans highly respected Pennsylvania State Senator Doug Mastriano after he did a great job of leading hearing on the 2020 election fraud. They and the fake news working together want to silence the truth. Can't let this happen. This is what communist countries do. And he's right, guys. This is what's happening in this country. 3 hours ago, the president said, big news. Pennsylvania poll watcher, USB drives uploaded to machines, gave Biden thousands of votes. Says 47 USB drives are now missing. Every upload gave Biden 50,000 votes. This is 3 hours ago. Big news. Pennsylvania poll watcher. The USB drives uploaded to machines gave Biden thousands of votes. Says 47 USB drives are now missing. Every upload gave Biden 50,000 votes. How disgusting. Tell you right now. 3 hours ago, the president is quoting OANN. President Trump nominates record number of federal judges at OANN. 3 hours ago, the president tweets, he says, report, Biden's Thanksgiving Day address gets just 1,000 views online. A record low. Observers says a candidate with 80 million votes would get many more online viewers. Numbers don't lie or add up at OANN. 17 hours ago, the president tweeted Team Trump. President Trump delivers Thanksgiving message via video conference to member of the U.S. military.
Foundations are ready for one of the best.
Hold on a minute.
Well, I'm thrilled to be on line with heroic members of the United States military, incredible people. I want to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. We're going to have a great year. We have a year coming up. The foundations are ready for one of the best years we've ever had. We have with us 6 units deployed all across the world, representing every branch of the armed forces. Many of you are very far from home, but today we hope you know that millions of American families are praying in gratitude for the sacrifices you make and the incredible, absolutely incredible job you do. As president, I want to personally express my profound thanks to each and every one of you for your devoted service to our nation. Our nation is doing very well. It's the highest honor of my life to serve as your commander-in-chief. Well, I'm thrilled to be on.
Amen, President Trump. And then again, 17 hours ago, he tweets Team Trump again. President Donald Trump says vaccine distribution will start next week and the week after for frontline workers and seniors.
2 companies already.
here.
We are rounding the curve. The vaccines are being delivered literally. It'll start next week and the week after. And it'll hit the frontline workers and seniors and doctors, nurses, a lot of people going to start, and we're going very quickly. 2 companies already announced, a 3rd one coming up, and a 4th and 5th one coming up soon also. So it's, some people have called it really a miracle. It could have taken 4 or 5 years to do this. Normally it probably would have taken 4 or 5 years, just getting it through the FDA. We pushed it very hard. We are rounding the curve. The vaccines are being...
And hear that. This is because of President Trump, not Joe Biden, okay? Joe Biden can't take care of himself. He stays in a basement. Couldn't even get a vaccine when him and Obama, okay, what'd they have? The Ebola, the swine, H1N1 or N1H1 vaccine virus. They did nothing. Okay, 13 hours ago, the president tweeted, for purposes of national security, Section 230 must be immediately terminated. Can't wait for that to happen. 13 hours ago, the president tweeted, he said, Twitter is sending out totally false trends that have absolutely nothing to do with what is really trending in the world. They make it up and only negative stuff. Same thing will happen to Twitter as is happening to Fox News daytime. Also, big conservative discrimination. 13 hours ago, the president tweeted, he said, I gave a long news conference today after wishing the military a happy Thanksgiving and realized once again that the fake news media coordinate so that the real message of such a conference never gets out. Primary point made was that the 2020 election was rigged and that I won. Okay, 14 hours ago, the president tweeted, a must-read again. Impossible for Biden to have overcome these and even greater odds. He's talking about 5 more ways Joe Biden magically outperformed. Go to thefederalist.com. Now, the president tweeted 18 hours ago, proclamation on Thanksgiving Day 2020 at the White House. So, and this is what he said. On Thanksgiving Day, we thank God for the abundant blessings in our lives. As we gather with family and friends to celebrate this season of generosity, hope, and gratitude, we commemorate Americans' founding traditions of faith, family, and friendship, and give thanks for the principles of freedom, liberty, and democracy that make our country exceptional in the history of the world. This November marks 400 years since the Mayflower and its passengers faced the unknown and set sail across the Atlantic Ocean. Propelled by hope for a brighter future, these intrepid men and women endured 2 long months at sea, tired and hungry, to arrive in a new world full of potential. In the winter weather that greeted their arrival, they lost nearly half of their fellow travelers to exposure, disease, and starvation. Despite unimaginable hardships, these first Americans nevertheless remained firm in their faith and unwavering in their commitment to their dreams. They forged friendships with the Wampanoag tribe, fostered a spirit of common purpose among themselves, and trusted in God to provide for them. The following year, they celebrated a successful harvest alongside their Native American neighbors, the first Thanksgiving. This semi-event in history of our nation is a continued reminder of the power of faith, love, perseverance, prayer, and fellowship. The Mayflower's arrival to the New World in 1620 also marks the arrival of the first seeds of democracy to our land. absent the rule of a monarch in an uncharted wilderness. These early settlers resolved to create their own government through what is known as the Mayflower Compact, defined by majority rule through elected leaders responsible for creating just and equal laws. The Mayflower Compact represents the first chapter in long tradition of self-determination and rule of law in America. 156 years later, our nation's founding fathers resolved to break free from England, building upon the Mayflower Compact to establish an enduring government whose authority came solely from the consent of the governed. This year, as our nation continues to combat coronavirus pandemic, we have once again joined together to overcome the challenges facing us. In the midst of suffering and loss, we are witnessing the remarkable courage and boundless generosity of the American people as they come to the aid of those in need, reflecting the spirit of those first settlers who worked together to meet the medical needs of their community. First responders, medical professionals, essential workers, neighbors, and countless other patriots have served and sacrificed for their fellow Americans. And the prayers of our people have once again lifted up our nation, providing comfort, healing, and strength through times of uncertainty. Despite unprecedented challenges, we have not faltered in the face of adversity. To the contrary, we have leveraged our strengths to make significant breakthroughs that will end this crisis, rebuild our stockpiles, revamping our manufacturing capabilities, and developing groundbreaking therapeutics and life-saving vaccines on record-shattering timeframes. During the season of gratitude, we also acknowledge those who cannot be with their families. This includes the brave American patriots of our armed forces who selfishly defend our sacred liberty at home and abroad. And we pause to remember the sacrifice of our law enforcement personnel and first responders. We are deeply grateful for all those who remain on watch over the holidays and keep us safe as we celebrate and give thanks for the blessings in our lives. This Thanksgiving, we reaffirm our everlasting gratitude for all that we enjoy, and we commemorate the legacy of generosity bestowed upon us by our forebears. Although challenges remain, we will never yield in our quest to live up to the promise of our heritage. As we gather with our loved ones, we resolve with abiding faith and patriotism to celebrate the joys of freedom and cherish the hope and peace of a brighter future ahead. Now, therefore, I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim Thursday, November 26, 2020, as a National Day of Thanksgiving. I encourage all Americans to gather in homes and places of worship to offer a prayer of thanks to our God for our many blessings. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand this 25th day of November in the year of our Lord 2026, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 245th. Donald J. Trump. Amen, President Trump. I'll tell you, I'm so honored to have read this. And I'll leave at this, and then I'll be back on to read many other tweets later. Okay, guys? Love you guys and thank you. Bye-bye.